Mr. Sammy Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Unlike spoken before, I am not one of the serial traitors in Northern Ireland. But nevertheless, I do believe that the issue which we're discussing tonight is an important issue. I also accept the point which was made by the spokesman for the Liberal Democrats, who initially at least had taken the view that perhaps there were more important issues that could be discussed. And I think that it's been already answered by my colleague from East Belfast, that first of all, we have in other occasions in this House sought to raise issues of the economy, etc. And of course, since many of these issues are now dealt with by the devolved administration, that is where the debate about many of these things now takes place. But this is an important issue, and it's an important issue, I think, for a number of reasons. And the first is this, that the Parades Commission and the treatment of one particular section, a decent section of Ulster society, by the Parades Commission, has caused a great, deep hurt. And the fears which those people have, and the hurt which those people have, many of them my constituents, and while, as I say, I'm not a member of an Orange Lords or an Apprentice Boys or the Black Institution, etc., many of those people who are involved are good, solid, law-abiding citizens who believe that through the action of the Parades Commission, the activities which they wish to engage in on a regular basis, marching to display their culture, their history, their religious beliefs, the intervention by the Parades Commission almost sullies that honourable activity which they engage in. The second reason why I believe it is important, and this has been pointed out by a number of speakers already, is that we are moving towards the completion of devolution in Northern Ireland. And a lot of hard work has gone into the movement towards that. And I believe it's a goal which is desirable. It's a goal which we should be pursuing. We should be pursuing vigorously. But if we are to complete the devolution of policing and justice, we cannot do it in isolation from the ending of the contention that is over the whole parades issue. Because if there's anything which is going to destabilise policing and justice, it's where we remain without the machinery to resolve the contentious parades in Northern Ireland. And I think, as other members have pointed out, the Parades Commission has not been the vehicle for doing that, despite some of the points that have been made by both the member for Foyle and the member for South Down. And I want to address those in a moment or two. So, for those two reasons, I believe that it is important that this issue is addressed. The anger against the Parades Commission is generated for a number of reasons. I mean, first of all, every parade, every public demonstration, indeed every public activity on the streets of Northern Ireland must first of all be referred to the Parades Commission. I get people in my constituency who want to arrange motorbike ride-outs, classic car rallies, as well as parades, civic parades, sometimes church parades for uniformed organisations. All of them have to be referred to the Parades Commission. And you know, the point which many of them make to me is there's nothing contentious. Many of the activities are cross-community. And yet there's this filter of the Parades Commission through which these have to go and be applied for. Many of the Orange parades and other institutions' parades, of course, are not contentious at all either, and yet have to be filtered through the Parades Commission. And the implication always is that there's something contentious about these, and people resent that. I think the second thing is that the Parades Commission itself, and the member for Lagan Valley made this, it's an arbitrator. not seeking to facilitate and mediate in these contentions. And sometimes it's arbitration itself can do damage. I have had people who have come into my office who have complained that because of the conditions, and the very prescriptive conditions laid down by the Parades Commission, sometimes a pedantic job's worth within the PSNI takes those prescriptive conditions. If the parade has not started at 7 o'clock on the dot, even though they may be waiting for a busload of people to arrive, sometimes that busload of people held up as a result of police activity.
That's right.
Then, and if the parade waits for 2 or 3 minutes for those people to arrive, then the police want to take action and refer it back to the Parades Commission as a breach of the conditions.
That's right.
And indeed, had the job's worth thought it through, far better to have everybody included in the parade rather than some stragglers come along at the end when the parade started off. But this is one of the problems. By being as prescriptive as that, I could give lots of other examples. And by the application of that prescription, sometimes problems are caused which are not necessary. And indeed, which if the parade had never been referred to the Parades Commission in the first place, you'd have never had that degree of prescription. The third reason is the bias which there is seen to be in the Parades Commission. And whether that's in terms of the make-up, and there's a long history of objections to the make-up and what is seen as the biased make-up of the Parades Commission. But even more so than that, the decisions which are made. And those decisions are, in many instances, especially where there are contentious parades, seem to be made on the basis of who presents the biggest threat.
Right.
And the more people are prepared to lean, and indeed, and this is the worst of it, if there is a history of them being able to not only make the threat, but to deliver the threat, then the Parades Commission seems to give more weight to the arguments presented by that particular group. Now, there have been suggestions made that if we take it away from the Parades Commission, it puts the police in the front line. The fact of the matter is that in many occasions, and people have come to me and said, look, we believe we made a good case to the Parades Commission. We don't know how they reached their decision at the end of the day, but we ticked all the boxes that they asked us to tick. But the police came in afterwards, and on the basis of what the police said, the attitude of the Parades Commission changed. So, whether the member for Foyle or for South Down like it or not, the police already have an input into this. The police are already in the front line and are part of the decision-making process with the Parades Commission anyhow. And it would seem, and in many instances, I believe the police make the judgment who can create and who can present the biggest threat. And since, as I've said, and most of those who are involved in the loyal orders are ordinary, decent, hard-working, law-abiding, solid citizens, the judgment is that they will not be the ones who will cause the trouble. It is those who through protests and who have got a record of causing street disorder, they're the ones that we've got to pay most attention to, and therefore the bias is towards them.